Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be that guy who stands right in the middle of everything, all the traffic at CES. There's Rich, there's Zeke. I'm going to be that guy. You know what? Let's do this on an escalator. So no edit vlog before things really start. So this is the first opening day of CES at the actual, convention center. You've seen the content. We've been busy since Saturday night, and but today's the first show opening, and I've left TCL and Hisense for today because we got early access with LG and Samsung and a few others earlier. But I just wanted to come on for a moment to say hey, but also to, first of all, it's kind of quiet right now, which is crazy because it's 9:15. Doors open at 10. It will be a madhouse. I'll try and get some footage of that for you so you can see it. But normally, we were supposed to get early access to TCL's booth today because we're doing some special work for them. And I told them, that's not likely to happen. The security guards at CES are really hardcore. They do not mess around. If you have a media badge, you're not getting in, and you're not allowed to have two different badge types at the same time. So, we'll wait out here with everybody else. It's fine. Not getting as early a start as we wanted, but again, that's fine. It's a long day. We'll have plenty of time to do what we need to do. Anyway, main reason, besides just wanting to say hi and make a silly video on escalators, much to the chagrin of passersby who think I'm an annoying person, and that's fine. See, they don't care for me much. Was to say, so today, I think, pay close attention. Today, I think, is going to be an excellent example of how I handle doing sponsored content for an endemic brand. I talked about this on the Calibrated channel quite some time ago. I made a more recent video about it because I thought that was necessary. Probably it wasn't. I've realized that there's a certain group of people out there who are just, trying to cause me trouble. That's fine. I don't care. They're a small group of people, but yeah. So I'm doing both editorial and paid media for TCL. And here's what that looks like. So I'm actually going to do it about the same thing. So TCL's new TV, the X11, the new X11, is the hot thing that I've been teasing over on the Calibrated channel for a while. Why I think it's so hot is what I'm going to save that for the video that I'm about to make for you. But yeah, what you're going to see is two different videos about that TV. One is my editorial normal stuff, and the other is going to be sponsored by TCL. So what does that mean? Fundamentally, what's the difference in the content? Well, for one thing, the editorial piece is going to linger on the tech a little bit more. We're going to dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to explain what super quantum dot actually means. I'm going to explain why super quantum dot is not enough. You can't just put super in front of a quantum dot. It needs to be different, and it is. But there are other things you have to do in order to utilize the better quantum dots. So we're going to get into that kind of. Those are weeds, really. We're going to get into the weeds of, the technology behind the TV. We're going to get into why TCL might have done that as an alternative to RGB backlighting, while also pointing out that TCL also has RGB backlighting because they're making it for everybody else. They might as well make it for themselves, right? So we'll get into that, and that's a little bit of the market weeds, right? That's not something that that we would want to talk about in a piece of content that was aimed at a more broad audience, right? It's more about you guys. It's more about this community. It's more about the enthusiast crowd. I'm sure other people are going to watch it, right? But the community I serve is the one that really cares about learning about the technology behind the technology, as well as why it's a great TV, or what, and what it might be missing, where it might need some improvements, where we still need to test it to find out more, right? Whereas the sponsored piece, part of what makes it sponsored is not that TCL wants to control what I say. Because obviously they don't. I'm making an editorial piece and I'm going to say whatever the F I want. They know that, and that's part of the deal. I tell them, first of all, no exclusivity. Second of all, you don't get to tell me what to say. Now, if it's a sponsored piece of content and you want to shape how that looks, we can have a conversation. But I'm also not going to say something that I don't believe to be true, or that I think is just pure hyperbole, or doesn't have any root in fact. And so, yeah, anyway, but what really makes the sponsored video interesting is not so much that they're sponsoring the video content themselves, it's that they're licensing it. And I think that's that's where people get a lot of confusion comes in, right? They're going to pay to use that content so that basically it'll be available to them outside of just on the channel. What does that mean? It means that you might walk into a Best Buy and see your boy's face at the TCL section inside Best Buy, explaining super quantum dots, or explaining why the X11 is such an exciting TV. And for that kind of video, obviously, if you're walking by at Best Buy, digging into the weeds of what makes a super quantum dot is not really going to be helpful, right? That's enthusiast stuff. For the general consumer, they need a different message. And so I'm gonna talk about honest opinions about what I think makes that particular TV special. And also, like, I'm a wordsmith. And so if I say something that they think is catchy and they want to license it, you know how you see, like with movie reviews, you see what Screen Rant said about a movie. And the movie prints that in their trailer for the movie, right? That's a licensed quote. We do the same thing here. They may like what I said about something and want to license the quote and print the name on the box because it lends credibility to what they're doing. And so that, my friends, is what it looks like. It's not about being on the take. It's not about being a shill. Guys, whatever. It's just so lazy. You know what I mean? Anyway, excited to do that. I'm excited. I'm just excited to go in there and kick ass. Doing something for TCL, and then also visiting Hisense today, as I mentioned. So we're going to go and take a look at their new mini RGB TV, which, if you've been paying attention to the press releases, is not just RGB anymore. So that's going to be kind of interesting to explain. They also not just doing RGB for micro LED now either. So we got to explain that. Again, editorial side, I'm going to have to dig into the weeds and talk about the tech and whatnot. For a sponsored video, I probably wouldn't go into that. I would probably keep it more surface level and talk about the net benefits and not how you get those benefits, right? And actually, I think that's a really great way of encapsulating it is, in a sponsored piece of content, it needs to be shorter, it needs to be punchier, and we talk more about the what than we do the how or even the why, right? We're not really going to get into the motivation of the company, the marketing ideas or ideals behind that stuff like we might in an editorial video, where I know a lot of you guys kind of like to know, what's shaking in the market, how it's shaping up, and how it's come together, and all that other stuff. So, yeah, there you go. Just wanted to offer that little tidbit since I'm waiting here to get in. And I'm antsy. I'm super antsy. What time is this? 9:30. I got 30 minutes. Anyway, figured I might as well make a video and upload it while I'm waiting. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you're enjoying the content. Also, huge shout out to Zeke and Chris, who Zeke and Chris and Rich. Chris DeGraw is out there doing the thumbnails. Zeke and Rich are killing it with the edits. I mean, they're really the ones who are making it possible for me to crank out this much content. To Suzanne, who is posting on the Substack. Got a Substack, guys. If you want to check that out, it's calibrated.substack.com. And to Alex and Dippin, who are here in supporting roles, getting extra B-roll and photos. And also shout out to Nate, who's coming here and working for free. Well, he got access to CES, so that's the benefit for him. But yeah, shooting extra B-roll for me to make the footage that we're putting into our videos even more beautiful and awesome. Yeah, Gotta love it, right? Anyway, okay, that's it, guys. Love your faces. I hope you are having a really fun time watching all this CES coverage. And I will see you on the next video over on the Calibrated channel. Bye.